Namaste, I am Alaksha Odi, a first year BMS student from Gomantak Ayurved Mahavidyalaya and Research Center, Shiroda, Goa. Welcome to today's podcast on the consumption of water according to Ayurveda. In this podcast, I am going to share some pointers which our great acharyas, maharishis have written in their savitas on how to drink water, when and in what quantity should water be consumed, and how excessive drinking of water can cause diseases. So, let's start. Jala or water represents the fluid or liquid element in the body and in the universe. In the body, we have the saliva, the gastric juice, lymph, etc. It is one of the most basic and important elements that help in the human survival. Jala covers about 75% of the earth's surface and up to 70% of an adult human body. Some of the gunas of water which are mentioned by our great rishis are snigdhata, which means cohesiveness or the binding energy, dravatva, which means liquidity or fluidity, and mandatva, means slow acting. Now comes the most important and interesting part of the podcast, in which I'll try to answer some of the most important questions which people have regarding water and clear their doubts. These points can be practically applied in our day-to-day lives. So, point number 1. One must drink water only when his or her mouth feels dry and the body needs water. Now, let me explain this by giving you an example. The thirst. It is of two types. One is the need and other is the greed. The type 1 thirst, which is when a person feels parched, comes in the category of need. This is when the mouth feels dry. Dry feeling in the mouth is an indication that water is needed to quench one's thirst. For example, when we do some tiresome, tedious, heavy tasks like running long distances, playing sports, exercising, your body sweats the water out and exhausts itself. Or when we consume a lot of sweet, salty products, a lot of sweet and spicy, heavy meals, these are the times when the water intake is needed and the body signals us to drink water. The type 2 thirst is called as the water intoxication. Unnecessary craving for water, it's like a disease, an addiction to constantly gulp water. This indicates that it is a symptom of a disease or illness. Some people feel thirsty in the middle of the night. For them, the solution is that you can drink water only a sip of water is enough to quench the thirst. Don't try to gulp it down. Let it be a slow process. Just the way we chew our food 32 times for better digestion, similarly, water should be sipped slowly. Let it mix properly with the saliva in the mouth. This is important for proper digestion of water. Now, the point number 2. Point number 2 is, one must always drink water in a sitting position, sip by sip. Never gulp it down. Mix it properly with the saliva in the mouth because the water also needs to be digested. Point number 3. Drinking water in a standing position increases the vata dosha in the body and it leads to pain in the joints. Point number 4. Avoid drinking water after sunset as it doesn't get digested and gets retained in our body, which increases the risk of diseases such as diabetes. Point number 5. Never drink water on an empty stomach. Point number 6. If water is drunk in the middle of the meals, it maintains the normalcy of the tissues and helps in easy digestion. Water consumed immediately after meals lead to obesity and accumulation of fat in the abdominal region. Drinking water before meals leads to emaciation and indigestion. So, drinking water in between the meals is the best way to maintain a healthy life. Now, let's talk about how excessive drinking of water can cause diseases. So, we all know that where there is water, there is life. Where there is water, fermentation occurs. Where there is water, there are bacteria and microorganisms. This means if there is excess of water in the human body, it may give rise to more infections. So, some of the diseases caused by excessive consumption of water are prameha, also known as diabetes, mudkhada or kidney stone, sandhivat, osteoarthritis, gas, agni-mandya, which is indigestion, bloating in stomach, hair fall, weight gain, and many more. With this, I conclude this amazing topic on consumption of water. Hope you apply it in your day-to-day life. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Namaskar.